In a society where we are all plugged in, surrounded by a world that revolves around computers and internet access, it is estimated that computers are replaced on average every 4.5 years. So, where do all the computers go?
Computers for Communities is a non-profit organization here in Ottawa that refurbishes your old computers and transforms them into new ones, so that the less fortunate in your community can have access to computers too.
Here is Dave Sampson and Danny Starr, co-founders of Computers for Communities, to explain how their organization works and how you can help.
Essentially, what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect people that don't have any computers with those that do. When you take a look at the statistics at the number of computers that are sold every year, and on average between 2.5 years to 4 years that somebody replaces their computers, it means that every year there's loads of computers that are no longer being used anymore. The types of software and processes that we use, we can make them useful again and connect them with people that don't have access to technology.
There are currently 91 million computers being sold this year alone, and they're being replaced every 4.5 years. In that time, there will be over 400 million new computers being sold. But what happens to the computers that are thrown away?
I think that what Computers for Communities is going to help do is help those people in Ottawa that don't have computers get access to computers, and then ultimately gain the skills in technology to help them become plugged into society, and also help them in their job search and become a contributing member to Ottawa society.
It comes back to that concept of having that tool that you can create something, you can create a budget, you can create a resume. But the general gist of it was that about 130,000 some odd people in the Ottawa area, we're using a fairly rough geographic area, don't have access to the internet. 56,000 people don't have access to a computer.
According to the Environmental Protection Agency, more than 4.6 million tons of e-waste ended up in community landfills. Toxic chemicals in electronic products are released into the atmosphere over time, negatively impacting communities and the environment.
So what can you do to prevent this?
If you volunteer 24 hours, we'll teach you everything that you know, or we'll give you an opportunity to learn the skills. You contribute 24 hours of volunteering to the organization, and in exchange, you get a refurbished computer.
We've signed some partnerships with some fairly well-known organizations, and for a small nonprofit, those tend to be a pretty big deal. One of them being Habitat for Humanity.
Essentially, our vision for the organization is to allow anybody in the Ottawa area that wants to have access to technology to be able to do that. And the way that we do that, we team up with individual donors or small technology firms that when they're no longer requiring their hardware, so computers and screens, monitors, keyboards.
A dedicated workshop space for Computers for Communities is really important, because one of the goals that we have is to be able to train people on how to refurbish and use computers.
Cash
Production.